Welcome to AlonzoBash podcast, where art and culture meets activism. Ever wondered what it's like to be a media legend? Today, we're diving into the incredible journey of Dominic Kalipersad, a titan of Caribbean journalism. Picture this: over 4 decades of breaking news, gripping interviews, and shaping the very fabric of Trinidad and Tobago's media landscape. From coups to elections, Kalipersad has seen it all. But what's the secret behind his commanding presence and fearless reporting? How has he navigated the changing tides of journalism? And why does he believe truth in reporting is more crucial now than ever before? Get ready for an eye-opening look into the world of Caribbean media. From television, radio, and print media, we unpack the career of a man who's truly seen it all. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. AlonzoBash podcast starts now.
Greetings and welcome to AlonzoBash podcast. I'm your host, AlonzoBash, and today's special guest is a legend in the media space with over, I don't want to call his age, but I'm sure over 50 years in media. We're talking about from TV, radio, and print, countless awards. I'm so excited. Mr. Dominic Kalipersad, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, your story is rich. So before we get into that, I want to start from the early beginning. So where exactly were you born and raised?
In Trinidad, I'm a Samoa boy.
Sawa, okay. San Juan, you call it Sawa. You're from the east.
Well, you know that town in Trinidad that we call Samoa,
Yes.
that is spelled Sanjuan, was created by Governor Picton as the halfway point between Port of Spain and St. Joseph.
Okay.
But it was created at a time when all of Trinidad spoke only French.
Wow. I know once I have you, I know I'm going to learn a lot today. So I actually have my own.
But this is interesting. This is interesting. As a result of the French language that we predominantly spoke,
Yes.
the Spanish name was never pronounced as the Spanish would. The name was always pronounced as the French would pronounce those words and those letters. So it was never pronounced San Juan.
Wow.
It was always from the beginning pronounced San Juan or Saint Juan, as the French would pronounce. But as we became a little educated and we knew it was a Spanish word, we started to say San Juan. San Juan is in Puerto Rico. There's no San Juan in Trinidad.
Yes.
It's San Juan.
That's so true. I'm glad you broke that down because as grown as I am, I never actually knew the actual meaning behind it. Obviously, I knew we pronounce it different than most other places. And, when you say Sawa, we pretty much know exactly what you're talking about. But San Juan.
Well, you've got to use the language of the space in which you are.
Yes.
And while we speak a Trinidad Creole, when we call it a patois, a Trinidad English, which I call Tringlish.
I like that.
You pronounce the name of towns and so on in the way in which the people of the area pronounce it. As for instance, although it's a French name, one would never speak of going to Blanchisseuse.
That is true.
It's Blanchisseuse.
That is true.
If I say I'm going to Blanchisseuse, you wouldn't know what I mean. So to say San Juan, it's kind of showing off you know a little Spanish.
Right. Nice. All right. So you born and raised in San Juan. I'm pretty much familiar with that area. I myself is from Arima, and I'm pretty familiar with that area. So what was your early days like growing up in San Juan?
Well, I left San Juan a long time ago. I did go to primary school in the area. It was wonderful.
Okay.
I grew up with an Indian father and an Afro-Venezuelan mother.
Yes. Wow, that's interesting.
So it was an interesting Dogla experience.
Nice. Do you have any siblings, brothers or sisters?
Yes, I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters.
Okay. Wow. So they got into the field of journalism as yourself, or?
No, they didn't. They're in various kinds of disciplines.
Yes.
I never planned to get into journalism. It was not an ambition of mine as a young man.
Yes.
It happened quite accidentally.
Yes, I heard you were a teacher.
You did your research.
Yeah, I got to do my homework, man.
Yeah. Yes, I was a school teacher. I really loved teaching. I was very interested in education. Still.
Yeah.
So, yes, I was a school teacher, but there came a time
what was the school you taught?
I taught at in Port of Spain. I taught at Rose Hill RC School.
Okay.
in East Dry River,
Wow.
and I taught at Maryland RC School. You know, when I applied for teaching through the Catholic Education Board,
Yes.
they looked at this young middle-class man and they wanted to place him in a good school.
Yeah.
And,
Nice school.
and I said to them, no, I wanted to go somewhere where I would make a difference. You know, you're young and you wanted to conquer the world and make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they assigned me.
Answers.
Well, you know, I really wanted to contribute, I
Yes,
think.
yes.
I was a real nerd as a young man. And I taught at Rose Hill RC School.
Okay.
And then I moved to Maryland RC School.
Yes.
An eye-opening experience for me. I had never seen those areas of Laventille and Morvan.
Okay.
And so it was also a growth period for myself.
Yes. What do you enjoy most about teaching? You actually still teach, but we'll get into that. What do you enjoy most in those early years?
To me, life is about constant learning.
Yeah.
And I like witnessing the awe of discovery in children when they realize, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I tried not to teach by rote, although our education system is really about learning by rote.
Yes.
But I was a man of the 70s, so I broke all the rules.
Okay.
I took the children out of school and took them on tours around Port of Spain. Well, I mean, although they lived in Morvan, not particularly far from the Queen's Park Savannah, they knew nothing about the Queen's Park Savannah. They'd never entered the museum around the Savannah. So all of that was awakening new ideas, new thoughts, new experiences in their minds. So I enjoyed it thoroughly.
So pretty much at that time, you were literally thinking outside the box when it comes to teaching.
Yeah, well, you know, outside the box for Trinidad, I guess, at the time. But, you know, we were still in that colonial mode.
Yeah.
Where I say, you repeat, you learn.
Okay, nice. All right. So after teaching, what happened after that?
Well, while I was teaching, the Prime Minister at the time, Dr. Eric Williams, they have given away my age.
I was going to ask you a question. Was this pre-independence? But I say, you know, I'll
no. I may be a bit gray, but no.
They mentioned 70s. Didn't even as
70s. Early 70s. But while I was teaching, the shift into educational television.
Yes.
And that a light bulb lit in my head. I looked around me and I recognized that we could go beyond the classroom setting and the chalkboard.
Yes.
The whole scenario flashed through my mind of teaching through this new medium, relatively new, different medium.
Yes.
So I went off to study television. And when I returned, New York. There was a summer program being offered at the University of the West Indies, and teachers are always on vacation during the July-August time. So I said, okay, well, I'll go. So I went and attended the television production course at UE.
Okay.
All participants had to create their own television program at the end of the course. So we all went to TTT, Trinidad and Tobago Television, to record our program.
That's a classic. That's a classic right there.
Yes. And I did my thing. I recorded my program. And as I exited the studio, someone from TTT approached me and said, wouldn't you like to work here?
Just like that.
Just like that. Wow. And young and adventurous said, sure. And to my surprise,
how old were you?
I think I was about 21. But more than that, the person said, would you like to start tomorrow?
You had on the spot, man.
Something they saw.
Yeah.
And my entire career changed.
So at this time, from my recollection, you were still a teacher.
Yes.
But it was like a transition into this new environment. Well, you actually went to school for it, television.
Yes.
So how you made that decision to say, you know what, I love teaching, but I think I could do both at the same time.
I didn't give it much thought, really. I saw it as a new adventure, another learning experience, something creative. I think I probably still had in my mind that I can still be involved in educating,
yes,
but not necessarily the classroom arrangement.
Right.
You know, but then when I started to work there, I didn't know what was the job.
You just
came to work. I just showed up. and and they, I was put to work as a technical operator,
Okay.
which meant I worked the cameras, I worked in the tapings, and putting the film on the projector, and all that kind of thing.
Well,
Uh,
I want to take a pause right here, if I may, because we're talking. This is early '80s. I'm assuming.
this was in the 70s.
Oh man,
This was
this is like late 70s.
19. You probably weren't born as yet.
Well, I'm 78. I'm 78.
This was 1974.
Wow. So the reason why I'm asked, I pause you right here because I really want to give you an opportunity to kind of elaborate because you've been in media for a long time. So back in them days, everything was, pretty much, I don't want to call it ancient technology, but what was that experience like for the first time in those early days at TTT?
Well, remember at the time it wasn't the ancient technology. At the time it was modern technology.
Well,
It was as modern as it was at the time.
at the time.
Well, first of all, when I joined, we were working in film, and you had to process the film and then go and get the film edited
Yeah.
and put together. And then I don't remember how long, but shortly thereafter, we moved into videotape.
Okay.
All the technology changed, all the equipment changed. Mind you, it was broad videotape, as broad as that, on large reels,
Yeah.
and so on.
Big reason.
But still fairly instant.
Yes.
Still fairly instant. So that was exciting in terms of the immediacy.
Yes. So compared to now to back then, you have seen the progression. What's some of the things that I'm sure now is like, wow, I remember when we had to do it this way, or wow, how's- do you have this moment?
No, you just move with the times and you adapt. And remember, even now, the technology is changing fast on us.
Yes.
So you probably don't even have a memory of what it was like to use a BlackBerry as opposed to an iPhone.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's the same thing. You just live through it, and you accept and welcome improvements in the technology and how you do your work and how you can explore more of Trinidad quicker.
Yes.
So it wasn't something you didn't even think about it. You just went along with it with the times.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so you worked on, like you say, you hired as a technical hand, and that's the right word to use. And what happened after that? How you got into, in front of
Well, within months of being a technical operator, again, an official of the company came to me and said, I don't think you should be working here. You should be working there in the newsroom.
Okay.
So I said, okay, it speaks to, I'm presuming, it speaks to employers or companies being able to identify some sort of quality in a person who can satisfy a need that they have. And it also speaks to something I think young people should bear in mind. It also demonstrates that how you present yourself can create an opportunity that you didn't expect.
Well said. That's very, very important. Glad you mentioned that. All right. So obviously, like you said, you have you were raised well in presenting yourself. I mean, your mom and dad and so forth. So you had a liking at the TTT. And so tell me that transition. So you said someone said you should work in the newsroom. And at that time, I'm pretty sure there were people there that was already on the anchor and stuff like that, right?
Yes. I mean, that would have been at the time of the people of high standards like Dale Colasing, Bobby Thomas, Neil Giuseppe.
Yes.
So you had people you could emulate, that you could admire and emulate.
Yes.
Neil Giuseppe was head of news at the time, news director, I think it was called. And he sort of mentored us into how to write, how to present yourself. And he inculcated a kind of discipline in the work. And he also at the time broadened TTT's ability, approach to news.
Okay.
In that it was then that the news reporters really went out of the city because the news was really Port of Spain centric at the time.
Okay.
Reporting mainly on what the politicians said and what was happening at the Red House.
Yeah.
So he democratized the coverage of news coming out of TTT.
Imagine floating on the Chesapeake Bay, waves gently lapping, stress melting away. Now picture this, a spa but make it nautical. Welcome to Be Well Boats by Floating Needs. We're not just boats, we're floating sanctuaries of bliss. Drift away your worries with a massage while cruising the coastline. Choose from dockside, open water, or beachfront wellness experiences. Aromatherapy, hot stone massages, henna, scalp treatments. We're redefining relaxation. Why settle for ordinary when you can float to extraordinary? Perfect for birthdays, anniversaries, bridal parties, even waterfront weddings. Located at Canton Waterfront, Baltimore. Ready for your aquatic escape? Call 844-727-BOAT or visit floatingneeds.com. Your relaxation awaits.
Shipping nightmares? Not anymore. Let me spill the tea on stress-free international shipping. Jay's Hassle-Free International is the game changer you've been waiting for. Air, ocean, Caribbean, Dominican Republic. They've got it all covered. And those special rates? Absolutely amazing. Full container or just a corner, their prices will make your wallet do a happy dance. No more headaches over complicated shipping. Just call the shipper lady at 443-927-5816 and watch your worries vanish. Trust me, once you try Jay's Hassle-Free International, you'll wonder how you ever lived without them. Wave goodbye to shipping stress and hello to smooth sailing. Serving Pennsylvania, Delaware, and the DMV. Remember that number, 443-927-5816. Your stress-free shipping journey starts now.
Which was and still is a state-owned station. And more so because with the advent of videotape and portable equipment, you're able to go out into the villages and towns and countryside and democratize the coverage, show the real people and their experiences and their concerns more regularly, more often, and quicker.
Nice. So you did the man in the street type interviews as well?
Well, man in the street, but also you go and you cover issues in a town or village.
Yes.
You know, whether they're getting satisfactory water, whether their local government representative is serving their needs, that kind of thing.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned something there. I had another question I want to follow up with, but I just want to pause here real quickly, if I may. You've been in this media game for so long, right? And you mentioned when you first started, like you say, we caught in the man in the street and some of the issues that you dealt with back then. Do you see the same issues 40, 50 years in the same communities?
Well, I don't know about the same communities, but I think human issues generally are the same. People want a better life. They want bread and butter. They want to have bread on the table. They want the normal services of electricity, water. Well, now you want Wi-Fi and internet connection and so on. Yeah. But they're all human needs. They're all the same.
Yes. Yeah.
But also we're living in a young country. We're still a young nation, embryonic stage.
Yeah.
But there are human needs all over the place. So while how you cover and the access that you have and how accountable those in authorities are willing to be, that's where the change happens.
I remember doing my research, your first story was a suicide.
Yes. I still remember it very well.
Yeah.
I was told there was a suicide in downtown Port of Spain, and I went, and it appeared that someone had climbed up a utility pole, I think it was, and leapt from it. As a young man, my first story there was I seeing a crushed skull on the ground, veins leaking out, So you had it taught you to toughen up. Yeah. It also taught you, at least me, to develop the ability to divorce your emotion from the event, because you don't want to be weeping and crying carrying the story, although you have feeling.
Yes.
But if you're able to divorce your emotion and personal opinion from the story, it served me not only for those kind of harrowing things, but whether you're covering politics or whatever it is, you're just going there for the facts and not for how you felt about it.
Yes. All right. So remember your first day on the anchor chair? Give me a little, what happened?
Again, in the creative business, it's about opportunity, and sometimes the opportunity comes by accident. It never happened to me because I asked for it.
Yes.
To this day, I have, apart from the teaching job which was my first job, I've
Yes.
never applied for a job.
Wow, that's impressive.
So the anchor thing came about because somebody couldn't make it. So my boss turned to me and said, "You're on."
Wow, just like that. Just like that.
Now, why he said you're on? Why did he choose me
Yeah.
as opposed to someone else? I never asked him, but one can surmise is that he identifies something, some quality in this employee that he thought maybe.
So I'm trying to draw a picture here. So when you said you next, were you at work at the time or you was
Yes. I was at work I was typing up a story.
man? So on
On the spot, Yes.
wow.
Of course, I'm sure he would have had to seek the approval of the CEO or whoever it is. There must have been some discussion before that.
Well,
And
there-
somebody
there-
probably and probably would have said no, or you sure?
Yeah.
That inexperienced person.
Yeah.
But I did have some kind of wee experience, not anchoring the main newscast, but there were evening bulletins of about 30 seconds or a minute or so called News Capsule.
Okay.
And so I did do quite a bit of those
Okay.
before. So that gave me some practice with the camera
Yes.
and some comfort. But, you're always nervous.
Yes. Yes. So what was it, I'm laughing because I'm trying to picture the whole image. When I say, you next. So you remember I know this is a long time, but do you remember the story of the day at that time?
Oh,
Okay. So your first day on anchor chair, obviously at that time, TTT was the main news. I mean, the main source as far as TV.
Well, it was the only TV station at the time.
That is true. So everyone in your family, the community, saw you. How was their reaction like when you got home or the next day after?
I have no memory of any particular elation or congratulations, or even you did a good job or you did a bad job. I have no memory of that. I think that life just went on.
Well, obviously you did a good job.
I think life just went on. I'll tell you, if it were bad, if it were really bad, everybody would have been talking about it.
Yeah. Wow.
Because when you're on the air,
yes.
If you did it well, then people just accept it and you move on.
True.
But if you make a terrible error, that's what they talk about.
Oh man.
So,
okay.
I guess it went okay.
Yes, sir. You have interviewed countless people over the years. What is the one interview that stuck out the most?
I have a very bad memory.
Yeah.
But I really do. I really do. I just do it and move on. I really have a bad memory. But I could remember having the chance to interview Dr. Eric Williams. I was very young. Having chance to go to the Prime Minister's residence, which was a humble colonial cottage at the time.
Yes.
He was not as fearsome as he appeared when we saw him in Parliament.
Okay.
He was pretty amiable and accommodating.
Yes.
I remember that. I don't remember what I asked him.
Yes.
But I remember the feeling at the time, you're going to the Prime Minister. And he was very amiable.
Yes. Nice. I don't think a lot of people at this stage could actually say they interviewed Dr. Eric Williams.
Yeah, well, I've had some pretty controversial interviews since then, People who thought they could pull the wool over my eyes or bully you on the air.
You got to call names, but give us a or what do you mean?
If I found that the person was not answering the question, were doing all kind of circumlocution and trying to avoid, I would insist at least 2 times, perhaps 3, really.
Yeah.
And that may not have made them happy.
Okay.
And there was one instance in which I reprimanded the person who was being interviewed in a polite, dignified way, of course. And I don't think he particularly liked it.
Yes.
There was a time when a police commissioner didn't like my line of questioning and sort of reprimanded. But the thing is, again, it goes back to that first experience of being able to divorce your emotion and stay on point.
Yes.
I knew I was asking a journalistically sound question. It was not personal.
Yes.
So you press on, continued, and decide when to move on. So yes, there were some ring-down battles on the air, but I never lost my cool.
Yes.
And it was all very professional. And they accepted afterwards that it was professional.
Yes.
Although they didn't quite behave that way on the air. But
Well, I tell you, man, you definitely when it comes to journalism, professionalism is definitely goes right next to your name. So you were also on Dateline with
yeah,
Alison Hennessy.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
How you got on Dateline? Was that part of the whole TTT?
Well, Dateline was in fact produced by the newsroom.
Okay.
So the producer of Dateline was a producer in the newsroom.
Okay.
So therefore, it was not uncommon or unusual for someone in the newsroom to make an appearance on Dateline. And
Okay.
also the Dateline had a newscast, right? A short newscast. So
Yeah.
I did the newscasts on Dateline, occasionally an interview or so. It was a nice experience in that it provided an opportunity for you to let loose and laugh.
Yeah, more relaxed.
Make a joke with more relaxed.
Yeah.
Rather than being so important reading the news.
Yes. Yes.
So it was a sort of introduction to magazine programming for someone as young as me at the time.
Yes. To me, it was like the Trini version or the Trini daytime talk show type vibe.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
So it had current affairs and community discussions, exposure for artists and musicians. So it was a well-rounded kind of program.
Yes. You worked with the late great Alison Hennessy. What was Alison like?
Fun, bubbly, very committed to high standards. She would not be hesitant to give a little bit of advice to young broadcasters or reporters. It is from her and Hazel Ward that I recognize that as you grow and mature, you can assume a responsibility to give guidance to the younger ones in terms of how they present themselves, how they perform on the air. Pronunciation of words, a big deal for me. And so I picked up that habit from then.
Yes. Wow, nice. So, Mr. Kalipersad, Friday, July the 27th, 1990.
Oh, there we
go. I got to ask you, what does that day mean to you?
Well, what does it mean to me? It marks a big event in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. I was a guest of the terrorists. I was one of many.
Yes.
It was terrifying. I can laugh about it now.
I'm sure.
I'll tell you on the evening that it happened.
Yes.
And the evening that it began, of course, none of us had any experience with coup d'etat. None of us had any inkling that this was going to last beyond the evening.
Yes.
And it went on for 6 days. There we were under the barrel of the gun, somewhere around 6 p.m.
Yes.
And I was at the time preparing for the 7 p.m. newscast.
Yes.
So this is what I tell you, I can make jokes about it now. So as it was approaching 7 o'clock,
right,
I'm saying, here am I in the middle of a big story. And
your mind on work.
Yes, my mind, I still had a journalistic mind,
right.
And I'm thinking, my God, I'm still thinking this is going to be over soon.
Right.
But I'm also thinking, my God, I would not be able to type up a story on time for 7 o'clock news.
Right.
So while sitting cowering, I am practicing how I would begin the newscast.
Okay.
So I still remember to today how I planned that I would start the newscast. Yeah. I would have said, good evening. If I seem a bit nervous tonight, it's because there are gunmen in the studio. I look back at it now and that was so. But we had no idea this was going to extend beyond that evening.
Yeah.
To make it worse, on that same evening, I think it was, when we were shuttled from the newsroom into the studio, and the coup leader was sitting on my news desk.
Yes.
Talking to the nation. Guess what I was doing?
Taking notes.
I was standing at the edge of the desk taking notes.
Wow.
That was so foolish, but I was still thinking I'm in the middle of a big story.
No, man.
But of course, things happened after that. The place was bombed and gunfire and so on, so I lost those notes and so on.
Yeah.
But I was still in journalistic mode, at least for the first 24 hours.
So what did they say when they stormed the studio? I mean, obviously, I guess the intention was to take over the media house and present their version of what's actually taking place.
Yeah.
So
well, remember there were different parts of the building. So the gunmen who came to the newsroom where I was
Yes.
were really gunmen, minions. Barker himself had not come to the newsroom. He had
Okay.
gone to another part of the building, I presume the studio or studio control and so on.
Okay.
So whatever important things he had to say, he had to them.
Yes.
I and the other newsroom staff joined the other staff
Okay.
without being told what was happening. We sort of found out as we went along, you know.
There's a very famous quote, your own words, when they were offering the release of hostages. You said, "You're not leaving unless everyone else leaves." That was a very courageous statement. You can't elaborate on how that whole situation.
I have no idea where that courage or strength came from. I have no idea. There we were, seated on the floor in a small room, in the center of which stood what we was told was a bomb inside of a cardboard box.
Yes.
At the time, there was some negotiating going on for the release of a member of staff who was seriously ill. At the time, also, the government had gotten control of some of the airwaves.
Yes.
Cumberland Hill and so on. And Alison Hennessy was at some point and was able to speak to the country on the air.
Yes.
There was also negotiation or request made for food for us because we had not eaten for days.
Wow.
And I am presuming, because I was the main newscaster at the time,
Yes.
that the authorities, this is all assumption,
Yeah.
the authorities thought that if they got hold of me and used me on the air,
Yes.
that the nation would have a semblance, a thought that they were getting back in control and so on.
Yes.
Things may have been back to normal. So the request was, says, we will give you sandwiches. What was it? Something about release Dominic and you get sandwiches.
Okay, that was the trade-off. You for food?
That was the trade-off. So me for food. So Jones P. Madeira came to me without providing these details.
Yes.
I'm unaware that all of this was going on. He came to me and he said, Dominic, they've asked for your release.
Yes.
It's your decision. It's your decision. You can leave. And in almost an instant, I turned to him and I said, Jones, I'm not leaving unless everybody leaves. Where that came from, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But there were men in the room saying the rosary. As Jones turned around and left the room, I grabbed someone sharply, started to say the rosary at time. However, I did not learn until years later, after having read Raoul Panton's book, that Abu Bakr was furious that one, a request was made for my release.
Yes.
And two, that I would even accept the offer. So a decision was made. If he leaves, shoot him at the door.
Wow.
So by some divine guidance, I made a decision not to leave. Otherwise, I would have been shot at the door. Isn't that something?
Wow, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. And what?
Mind you, years later, Trinidad is a small place and you can meet anybody anywhere.
Yes.
Years later, as I was sitting at a petrol station to get petrol for my car,
yes,
a young man came up to me and he looked to the window and he said, "You don't recognize me?" I said, "No." He said, "I was the man with the gun outside the door when you all were in the room with the bomb."
Wow.
As though, hello, hi, how are you? So I how am I supposed to react? Am I supposed to say, "Oh, hi, how are you?"
Right.
What am I supposed to say?
Yeah.
So I just looked at him stoically without saying a word.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "Don't worry about it. That man was a madman. Don't worry about it." So obviously some of them had a change of heart or came to some realization afterwards. Because remember, most of the young men in TTT at the time of the attempted coup d'etat did not know what they were going to. They were herded from the headquarters on Bukarapa Road into vehicles and taken to TTT. And when they arrived, given guns and said, "This is what to do." Okay. So you had young men who were teenagers as well. Some young men, some lived in some pretty posh areas.
Yeah.
who, I mean, there was a time when we all thought we were going to die. And one of the young men came to us and he told us what to tell his parents if he died.
Wow. Wow.
And also many years later, one of the jefes in the coup, I won't mention his name, called me on the anniversary of the coup several years ago, telephoned me to say he was sorry. So it means that the men went through some growth and so on afterwards.
Yeah.
Whether it was spiritual or maturity or otherwise. It's life. You live through it and you go on.
Yes. Have you ever spoken to Abu Bakr since that time?
Yes. I interviewed him, and all of Trinidad was furious that I was giving him airtime.
Yes.
Oh, there was a flurry of complaints before the interview. Oh, why are you putting him on the air and so on? But I felt as a journalist,
Yes.
we ought to try to understand his state of mind.
Yes.
He got a little mad when I asked him if he was a madman. But
So yeah, tell me about that interview, because I never saw that interview. What did he say exactly? Like, what was his reasoning for doing what he did?
There were a lot of politics, and there was dispute over the land in Mucurapo, which there was some agreement with the government and didn't live up to the agreement. It's a rather complicated thing, which then got doubled with the austerity measures that were happening at the time. Remember, 1989, the NAR government was in place. The economy was in a tough time. The IMF had been brought in. The IMF had insisted on tough austerity measures. So life was hard. So all of that was coupled into there. Whereas the core issue was the land, but then he became a sort of advocate for the people because of these tough austerity measures, and life was rough for people. So all that sort of got fused together. And that was his argument, really.
Yeah.
But he was a very charming man. He could, unless you had your head on, which I suspect those young men didn't.
Yes.
He presented himself almost as a messiah. And you can see it. He had that kind of aura. In fact, as the hostages, he said to the hostages repeatedly, "You are our guests here. We are here for your safety. We cannot let you go outside where the police and army are shooting one another. We have you there for our safety." And he said it in such a way that he sounded as if he was caring for you. Unless you had your head on and kept accepting, "No, what you're doing is wrong," it would have been able to fall for him.
Yeah, both for the press.
So he was very charismatic and very charming. When he came into TV6 for the interview at the time, and he walked through the corridors as a god, and everybody looked at him.
Yeah.
He knew he was a leader. I mean, he was a leader, but not for me. I treated him as everyone else.
Did he ever apologize to you?
No. He did apologize in his unique kind of way to the country many, many years later, sort of half-hearted apology.
Yeah.
But there was no need for him to apologize to me. His action wasn't personal to me.
Yeah.
It was against the government. And I guess if it is against the state, then it's against me and us.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you
I survived.
You survived. Yes, you made it through. We're looking out for the book, man. We're looking out for the book. So
so much has been written about it, and if ever I talk about it, which I hardly do, I have to pay tribute to Jones P. Madera, who was my boss at the time, and who was really the main conduit between the negotiators at the time. He really put his life on the line.
Yes.
Well,
I really appreciate you taking time out to really talk about it, because like you mentioned, if anyone knows that particular story, you didn't really talk much about it.
No. I don't want to be defined by that incident. I don't know if I want to be defined at all. But that's just one experience in 50 years of being an anchor.
Yes.
That's just one experience.
So you're also the program director at Trinidad Broadcasting Company, also the editor-in-chief of Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. So you did both TV, radio, and print media. Radio programming. How you got into that? I know you like music. I heard you like jazz. I also heard you like rap. So how?
I feel as a journalist, not really specific to one subject.
Yes.
That you owe it to your audience to have a broad experience as possible. to have a broad range of interests and things and familiar to different degrees with as many things as possible.
Yes.
Because if you're sort of a general reporter, general journalist, today you might be called upon to go and cover the Red House, and tomorrow you might be called upon to cover Marshall Montano concert or visiting artists. So I trained myself to be familiar with all kinds of music.
Yes.
And my children benefited from that as a result.
Okay. Nice.
You know, but yes. I went into radio at the invitation of Neil Giuseppe.
Okay.
In 1991, I went to as one of the executives in the news department at Radio Trinidad.
Yeah.
And subsequently, I became the program manager for Trinidad Broadcasting Company, setting the programming for, I think it was at the time, at least 3 radio stations.
Yes.
One, the traditional AM station, on the 95.1, I think at the time, which was a sort of station.
Yeah.
And then Neil Giuseppe introduced Radio Tempo, which was an all local station.
Yeah.
So that was fabulous.
Yeah.
Loved the radio.
Love the radio.
We introduced the first inter-regional current affairs program, which was done on a Sunday, in which we were able to get input from various Caribbean countries, talk directly to them. Hasn't been done since.
Yeah, I heard about that. Print media. Now that's a total different ball game to, being an anchor. What do you enjoy most about print media, and what some of the differences that you would say in the two?
Well, the deadlines are different. I think print offers you an opportunity to provide more detail in a story. In the broadcast media, you tell the bare story, the bare facts, which is fine. It gets human emotion in there when necessary. So, depending on the breadth of the opportunity that the station provides to go beyond the headlines, and not all stations do that.
Yeah.
For analysis and so on and so on. This paper allows that every day.
Yeah.
So you can provide more detail on any story.
I also know you were responsible for the front page news. What's that process like? How do you decide what story goes on the front page and the tagline to use?
Tired of coming home to a mess? Sick of your office looking like a disaster zone? Say hello to MNS Pro Clean LLC. We're not just cleaners, we're mess-busting superheroes. From stubborn stains to dusty corners, we tackle it all. Our team swoops in with eco-friendly products and state-of-the-art equipment, leaving your space spotless. Whether it's your cozy apartment or bustling office, we've got you covered. No job too big, no grime too tough. Imagine walking into a sparkling clean space without lifting a finger. That's the MNS Pro Clean Magic. Don't waste another minute scrubbing. Call us now, 443-509-9418, and experience the Pro Clean difference. Your future self will thank you. MNS Pro Clean, where cleanliness meets excellence.
Hey, DMV, is your car giving you trouble? Look no further than MB Auto Repair LLC. They are not just fixing cars, they are reviving dreams on wheels. From mysterious engine noises to stubborn transmissions, their expert, certified, and experienced mechanics tackle it all. From oil changes and maintenance, brake service, tire service, etc., affordable pricing with transparent quotes. That's the MB Auto difference. They are fast, reliable, and honest. Don't let car troubles stall your life. Swing by MB Auto Repair LLC. Your vehicle deserves the best, and so do you. MB Auto Repair LLC, your car's new best friend in the DMV. Call today 410-444-0500.
Well, not as complicated as it seems, Yeah. You have the responsibility to identify what is going to be on the front page. And the front page story could be one of several things. It could be the most important story of the day.
Yes.
Or it could be the most interesting story of the day. Sometimes the most important is not the most interesting.
True.
If I tell you something about the dollar, it probably is boring.
Yeah.
But if I tell you that the price of food is going to skyrocket and so on and so on as a result of what's happening with the dollar, then that is more interesting.
True.
Or I may have a really dramatic photograph of somebody who's experienced some trauma in their life and so on and so on.
Yeah.
And that is symbolic of the crime situation in the country. That becomes a large picture on the front page.
Yes.
So it's about what you think most of the readers would have an interest in.
Yes. I grew
All
up
subjective, of course.
Yeah, I grew up reading the papers, so I'm familiar with some of these headlines, man.
It's a business too. It's a business. So you have to give the story in as few words as possible that provide sufficient information that it grabs your attention and you know what they're talking about.
Yes.
So
sorry.
So the being adept with the use of language becomes very important. Unless you're language proficient, then you can't do that.
Yeah, we know you're big on language. So Instagram, you highly recommend, first of all, anyone that's listening to my voice right now, Mr. Kalipersad voice, he's not going to say it, but I'm going to tell you. His Instagram is not a regular Instagram page. His Instagram, in my opinion, is like a biography / documentary. I mean, history page. Anything you need to learn about Trinidad and Tobago, specifically, the Caribbean as well, but specifically Trinidad and Tobago, I've learned so much on your page on Instagram. Where do you find these archives?
It's available. You just have to look.
Nah, man.
It's available. There is stuff in the National Library. There's stuff in the National Archives. There are quite a few books written by some of the top-level historians in Trinidad.
Yeah.
There's lots available on the internet that people not accessing. It's there, but it's not all in one place. So it takes a lot of time to do the research.
Yeah.
But, I started it upon my retirement, which provided me with more time. So I had the time to dig into something that I had an interest in.
Yeah.
I was just doing it for pleasure, I'm still doing it just for pleasure.
Yeah.
And learning as you go along. I'm not a historian. I am an active researcher of history.
Yes.
And I may well have started, almost pioneered the use of Instagram or digital media in that manner, because I think at the time it was just about taking pictures of your food
Yes.
at the restaurant and so on. So I don't know who started it first, but I don't have any memory of anybody doing that before. Mark Lindsay says that I may have been one of the first to have long form captions on Instagram. So I was just doing something that I was interested in, and I thought that other people would be interested in. And it turns out lots of people are.
Yeah. Listen, some of this stuff I've never heard before. I went to school in Trinidad, primary, secondary, all the way up to, comprehensive. And a lot of stuff I've never known. A lot of stuff in there I've never known, or I might hear about the particular story, but actually read and see footage and videos and news articles. Yeah, man, it's amazing.
Well, in our education system, we have still been teaching our history from the colonizer's perspective.
Yes.
Right? Or the history as written by the colonizer. So that forces you to look deeper and access the research written by the colonized or the former colonized.
Yes.
So you have works by Professor Bridget Brereton, by journalist Judy Raymond, Angelo Bisessa Singh did a lot of work. There's a lot of work there, but that perspective of our history is not the approach taken in teaching it in schools. We're still teaching from the books written by the British.
Yes.
So we've got a long way to go. I said at the beginning, we're still at an embryonic stage of the creation of a nation called Trinidad and Tobago, of a TNT civilization. Still got some way to go, but it's happening.
It's happening. All right, let's talk about masterclass with the master. How that whole thing came about.
Well, one, there is a need. There's always a need for people to learn more.
Yeah.
There's always a need, whatever job you have, whatever position you have, to sharpen your skills or to learn new skills.
Yes.
So I have been invited by Lisa Wickham's Imagine Media International to partner with her in hosting some master classes. I think she sort of pioneered the masterclass approach, the first one which we did many years ago. And lots of people who are pretty successful in the broadcast, entertainment, film industry, and so on would have attended that masterclass. So it's great. It's great. It's great paying it forward. It's great sharing the knowledge that you have, and it's great to see young people accepting that there are opportunities to invest in themselves.
Yes. Nice. Well, Mr. Kalipersad, this part of the podcast is kind of one of my favorite part of the podcast. So I bought this book a couple years ago by now. It's called 2,000 Questions About Me. But what I've done, I'll switch it around, and I'm going to ask you to pick a number from 1 to 2,000. And the number that you pick is going to be the question that's going to be asked out of this book.
3.
3. So that's real simple. 3. Okay. What is the trait you most deplore in yourself?
What is the trait I most deplore in myself? I deplore getting angry or frustrated or bothered. Let's say bothered. I deplore getting bothered when I have to wait.
Okay. Yeah, we know you don't make joke with time, you know.
No. I think punctuality is essential in any professional, and it reflects respect for the other person, you know. So yes, I hate waiting. I could make more effective use of my time during that period when I was just waiting, doing nothing.
Oh, well said. Mr. Kalipersad, at this point, man, I'm going to wrap it up. I want to open it up to
Well, let me ask you, what irritates you most?
I would say I'm very time oriented. I hate waiting. I hate communication. If someone's running late or they can't make it, you know, just say, hey, you gotta, you know, reschedule or running late, what have you, because just like you said, no one respects the person that's always late, you know, or don't have show some type of respect for time, in my opinion.
I know your name primarily as a DJ. Were you ever late?
Have I ever been late as a DJ? Not that I could recall. Well, you know, once I was late for an event, but to be fair, I was coming from a whole different state, and I let the organizers know I would have been, you know, I think I got there about 45 minutes, but there were other people that could fill the slot. So yeah.
So what prompted you to broaden your experience beyond being a DJ?
So Mr. Kalipersad interviewing me now? Okay.
I can't help it.
I'm honored. I'm honored. That's my thing. Well, like you, to be honest with you, Mr. Kalipersad, I grew up watching you as a kid. I was one of those 70s babies, grew up in the 80s. I'd watched the news at 7, you know, my family, my dad, and so forth. And outside the news, I listened to a lot of radio. So I was a kid, I would sit down and listen to the radio. Morning, noon, and night, I would listen to how, you know, the announcers speak, break for commercials, all these different things. So I really got into music. My dad himself was a DJ. Then I got into radio myself. But one thing about radio, as you know, you really don't have the opportunity to go in depth in conversations because a lot of time the person might be on a promo tour or, you know, time is limited. So that's how I really got into the podcast space. And the difference with podcasting that I enjoy is the research on people and you know, whatever the topic of the day might be. Like in your case, your history is so rich. You know, I went and did some past interviews, and you know, sometimes you know, as a journalist, sometimes you know, but when you really start researching, you realize you don't know anything. You know, that's how I really got into the whole podcast space.
And how do you determine who your guest is going to be? What's the objective?
Well, that's a good question. So I think about my audience and my age. I'm middle-aged. You know, I'm middle-aged. I can't say myself middle-aged. So I think about the younger people, and I think about folks, you know, my age and beyond, so to speak. And I think about the story. I'm big on stories. So when I interview someone, like, man, people need to know this person and know their story, because I believe everyone can benefit from, you know, any one particular story or journey in life, or put it that way. So I come with that approach. You know, that's why usually when I start from the beginning, place of birth, stuff like that. And a lot of times I also learn, sometimes you think someone is from a particular place and then you realize, no, I wasn't born there, I was born here. Like, wow, I didn't know. So all these things is important to me. And And also, like you mentioned, you were born in Sawa, so there's someone, some people, or some youth or whoever might be in that community, and they may, wow, I never knew Mr. Kalipersad was from here. So stuff like that. That's how I look at it.
What made you decide to address me as Mr. Kalipersad instead of my first name?
Well,
Is it my gray hair?
it's a respect level. Plus, you're a senior to me, so I have to give you that respect. Your body of work. Even if you was a janitor, man in the street, I will call you Mr. Kalipersad. But once again, your body of work it speaks for itself, man. Like I said, I'm really, really honored to sit down and really talk to you and hear your story and, as you say, hold a reasoning, because, like I said, I was a kid. I remember seeing you, from Dateline, TTT, like I said, and when I reached out and in the conversation, I was really, really happy to get a message.
If I were doing a podcast with you or someone in your geographical location,
yeah,
I would really be interested in finding out what state of mind are Caribbean people in, given the actions being taken against immigrants and green card holders and naturalized Americans and so on by the new administration. Is there a sense of unease or discomfort in the Caribbean diaspora in the United States? But that's for another time, if I were doing a podcast.
Well, I appreciate the tip, but it's definitely interesting times. I would definitely say that. Definitely interesting times. I actually got a message yesterday that someone that I actually know here in the DMV area is being held right now by ICE. I'm not sure specifically what's the reasoning, but yeah, it's a interesting time. I would say that. Very interesting.
I would presume that Caribbean people are ensuring at least they walk with their passports at all times, because some ICE might look at you and say, you look like an immigrant, and take some action, some precautionary measures people are probably taking.
Yeah, well, I think it may depend on exactly your area, I don't know for a fact, but I'm presuming, maybe like in New York, where there's a high concentration of immigrants, here in Maryland as well. But it's one of those things, man. You just, it's unfortunate. I don't know how they decide who the wrongs and up or whatnot, but it's interesting times. Yeah.
But give me a chance, I'll take over your podcast.
No, I'm enjoying. Listen, man. I'm enjoying.
I love doing it. I don't like being interviewed, but I love doing an interview.
Yeah.
So this is one of the few interviews that I really have done.
Well, I definitely appreciate it, man. I definitely appreciate it. I remember when you told me you knew, but you know Hardaway.
Yes.
Yes, he has a very interesting story, man. And that's a prime example.
I've written about him.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
He is still very successful, as a heavy performance schedule throughout the year.
Yes.
Throughout the year, he's performing in places we haven't even heard of.
Very true.
And I think the month of July he is on a tour in the United States. So places we've heard of. Yes.
Oh, he's on
Yes, there's a big group of artists who are doing shows in the United States coming up soon.
Okay.
So is it from Spain to Estonia to the United States? He has really maximized his career without depending on social media or legacy media.
Yeah.
Without getting into the headlines.
Yes.
Just based on his music.
Yeah, that's a busy man. I've looked at the schedule, like you mentioned. I'm seeing countries I can barely pronounce. Busy.
Yes. Who hears about Estonia?
Yeah. Well, Mr. Kalipersad. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying it was great having a chat with you.
Yes, sir. Very, very much so. I really, really appreciate it. I'm sure your fans will appreciate it. And of course, folks, a lot of people, I believe, a lot of people know who you are. I don't think a lot of people know your backstory. So I'm really, really happy that you took time out to bless us with your presence. And, look forward to meet you in person.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care now.
Bye.
All right.
And that's a wrap on another episode of AlonzoBash Podcast. If you're loving the content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Your reviews mean the world to us, so take a moment to leave one if you can. It really helps us grow and reach more awesome listeners like you. Speaking of awesome, share this podcast with your friends and family. Now here's a little treat for you. Use the code BASH for 10% off your next purchase from any of our amazing sponsors. You can find their details in our episode descriptions. Until next time, as Alonzo would say, stay focused on your goals and dreams. See you on the next episode.
National hero, soon as I reach the dance, conduct on zero.